Go ahead and start recording. Did you find one? Can you go take it to Mr. Ross and let him know to use that charger? Okay. Guys, I'm going to put our participant here on the big screen here in just a second. His name is Will Harrah. I'm going to go ahead and turn my computer so you guys can see, or he can see you, and then you can see him in just a second. And then let me go ahead and get him on the big screen so you guys can see him. Okay. These guys have some questions for you today. We're just going to kind of take turns after Will introduces himself.
That'd be great.
Okay.
I have some questions from the other class.
Okay, perfect. So they've heard a little bit about you. But I thought it'd be better for you to go ahead and introduce yourself and give your background. And then we're going to take turns asking you some questions about what you do for a living. Okay, so if you just want to give us name and like where you went to school, just anything about yourself that you want them to know.
How you guys doing? My name's Will Harrah. Among other things, I'm a video producer, editor, director, and whatnot. I actually went to Ruby many years ago myself. Went to school for cinematography and filmmaking in Missouri Western, and I currently live in Kansas City, where I run my own production company, Celestial Pictures, LLC.
Okay. Do you guys want to start with a question? Anybody want to raise their hand? And here?
You want to just start at this table and we'll go around the table?
Speak up so he can hear you.
My question is, how much time and effort do you put in your work?
As much effort and time that it calls for. There's some music videos where, or just videos in general, where I've gone out and filmed for a couple hours and then spent a few hours putting it together. Then there's some projects where we're literally shooting days at a time, like, 10, 12-hour days, and, takes about as much time, if not longer, to edit it when we're done. And then also, for bigger projects, we do spend a lot of time preparing before we actually film, like getting locations, actors, props, anything that we may need. So.
Okay, Brandon, go ahead.
What are problems you have come along with your job?
I'd probably say one of the biggest problems that we have is we always kind of run into something no matter what we're shooting. Usually it's, what was that law? Anything that will go wrong can go wrong. Whether it's, if we're looking for a location, that's not available, we have some people running late or don't come in at all, or, anything that can go wrong. I've probably experienced it in some capacity one way or another. Just a big thing to go through that is just to be flexible and, just kind of roll with the punches to get it done. So.
Who wants that?
How did you get into the music video business?
Well, basically, after I went to school, how I got into it is I just had some friends that, did music or whatnot that needed music videos. So just in short, I just started doing them. And, the more and more I did it, the more better I got, the more people recognized that I did it. And, just kind of got better from there. So.
Okay. All right, we have some Mrs. Curry, the teacher, has some questions from the class later in the day. We're going to ask you a couple of their questions.
Okay. Can I stop you guys 1 second? I want to hit something here. I'm kind of recording this myself.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
If you guys have questions that you want to ask, then give it to. Totally fine. Okay. We've got a lot of time.
Okay.
Now, Will, are you at your studio or are you at your own home?
Yeah, I'm actually at my studio downtown. If you can kind of see in the background. We also do like photography as well, so we kind of have like a big strobe light over here, and then over this way we have our different backgrounds, that we shoot behind, that kind of roll down, and then we kind of got this set up right now. It's a bit of a mess, but we're always kind of busy doing something. So.
Well, these are some questions from my other class, from students. How many videos do you think you create in a month?
In a month? I'd probably say recently it's been about 4 or 5, but they've been shorter or easier type of videos. I'd probably say the more complicated ones that I've done, probably on average it'd be like 2 or 3 a month. Again, depending on what the project is. Like I said, for some projects, it just only take me a few hours to put together and whatnot. Some, we've been working on, like, there's one bigger project we've been working on for about a month, give or take. Not straight through, but just depending on everybody's schedule and how long it takes and stuff like that, it does take some time. So you just kind of learn to kind of juggle in between different stuff.
So the project you've been working on for about a month, is that a music video? Is that a...
Yeah, it actually is a music video for an artist in Kansas City. His name's Nowadays. Basically, we've been, the actual man time that we put into it, or man hours, has probably been about 2.5, 3 solid days with like a full crew and actors and extras and whatnot. So.
What has been your favorite music video you have ever made?
My favorite that I ever made, I don't know. I got a couple that I like. I know there was one in St. Joe that I filmed. I had a friend, Dax, that I did a music video for, where I made a whole short film narrative type thing. And the reason I kind of like that pretty well is it came out pretty well, and I was the only one kind of doing it. So but we had some friends and people in the neighborhood that wanted to act, be an extra in it. So it was pretty cool to have like some friends and people around the community to come and do something. And then probably one of my other favorites is I did a music video called Straight Outta Kaufman.
We watched that.
Oh yeah, you guys did?
We watched that.
Yeah, that was pretty fun because on top of certain scenes that we shot, there was some scenes where it was actually in the stadium. I actually just took my camera and went with the artist to an actual baseball game, so I actually got to enjoy the game, and the Royals won, and I got to film a little bit of the whole experience on the way there. So that was probably one of the more enjoyable videos that I shot. So
that was fun. We liked it. If you have a family, is it hard to manage your work life and your home life?
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard. I'm married and I have a wife. Sometimes I'm, late for dinner, when I don't mean to be, because, stuff kind of runs over schedule or whatnot. But, you kind of just establish, you just have to have somebody that's patient with you. And at the same time, you just got to bounce that out, make time for for your family and whatnot when you can. So, and that's, either with my wife or, I got some family. My mom stays in St. Joe, and, I hardly don't see her enough, but she understands. And, I try to make some good quality time when I see them. So.
What is your process for making a music video?
My process, I would love to explain that. And, it's definitely for some tips you guys can have as well. So to start off, to make a music video, we do something called pre-production. So basically, we write out a summary or a treatment of, what the music video is going to be, what's going to be in it, what's going to be about, just a general idea of it. And then after that, we kind of break it down to what you need, like what people do you need, costumes or clothing, locations, Just things like that. You kind of break it down into more technical aspect, and then usually a producer would kind of do that, and they're the person that makes the calls and talks to the people and sets all the stuff up. And then on top of that, before we shoot as well, we kind of organize some stuff. Like we make like a shot list, like of what different shots that we want, who all we need to help with the music video, crew-wise, just different stuff like that. And then after that's all set and good to go, and we actually film the music video. And depending on how big the project is, sometimes it may just be me with a camera out there, and then sometimes we'll have like a full crew, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 people all doing different jobs that need to be done to ensure that it's a smooth, successful shoot while we're doing it. Because, it's all time and money, so you want to be as efficient as possible. And after that, when it's all filmed and put together, we take it to whatever computer that we're using, and then we edit it and put it together, and then when it's done, we release it.
Well, these are kind of related questions. Who comes up with the video ideas? Is it you, or is it everyone, or just the singer or person or actor, whoever you are filming?
Sometimes it depends on some of the clients that I worked with. We have some people that come to us and they're like, we trust you. We don't care what you do. Just make it dope. So, me and my team, we might brainstorm and come up with an idea. Or somebody might just have like an awesome idea and, we decide it's cool and we'll run with it. Other times we have some clients or artists that come to us that they have a really specific idea that they want to do and what they want it to look like and everything like that. And, in that part, we kind of do our jobs and they entrust us to make that vision come to life. So,
do you or does someone else edit the videos?
I edit most of my own music videos, but ideally in bigger productions and even some projects we work on, sometimes when we shoot it, we'll hand it off to somebody else entirely that'll edit it and put it together. So.
And how do you line up the singer's voice when filming to go with the music?
Well, I know at first, before, I think kind of back then, sometimes people would make like a special audio track to basically have some beeps that kind of sync with the music that's playing when the performer's actually performing. And they kind of use that as a gauge to line that up in your editing software. But me, since I've been doing it for so long, basically I kind of know what to listen to in the music to kind of line it up to when it's playing in your actual footage. And to keep it in line, one thing that I do personally is for the artist, I pay attention to the artist's enunciation, just to make sure, when he's saying his E's or R's or whatever he's saying, his enunciation with his mouth is going in line to what he's saying. So. It's something hard to do, but definitely you get better with practice.
Have you ever messed up on making a video?
Yes, I have. But the big trick is if you mess up, as long as the people watching it don't know you messed up, then that's something you can take as a learning lesson without looking too foolish and kind of go from there. So.
Anybody else ready to ask a question?
How long have you been doing this?
Music videos specifically, I filmed my first one in 2012, but just making different types of videos, whether it be commercials or, working for the news or even documentaries. I've kind of been doing that off and on, with my college education. I'd probably say since like 2007, 2008. And even then before that in Lafayette, they had an AV editing class where I got introduced to that. So they let us make like little videos here and there as well. So.
You mentioned working for the news. Did you work for a TV station?
Yeah, I actually worked for KQ2 for a stint, probably from say about 2009 to 2011. I worked in different departments there where, I was a cameraman whenever they film the news in the studio, to running audio, to actually directing like the news at night and on the weekends. And then I also worked in their creative department, to where they made commercials for different clients that buy ads and stuff, different local commercials. So.
Can you round like how much you make per video?
With that, that all depends on the client's budget, on how much they're willing to spend. I will tell you, when I first started off, when I worked with a friend, the first music video that I made, like I'd charge them like $150 to make. But now certain projects that we do, clients' budgets, they can range to like, several $100s to, a few $1,000s, depending on how much they want to invest in the music video. So.
Are you ever influenced by music?
Oh yeah, definitely. We're influenced by a lot of things, not just music. Like other people's music videos, movies. There's been more than once where I've seen like something cool in like a movie, to where like, oh, I want to recreate that, or I want that same look or feel to it. So I'm constantly taking inspiration from anything that I watch or even see, to utilize it in my work.
Is this something that you've always wanted to do?
Yeah. I would say when I got into just kind of making videos in high school, it's something that I really liked to do. Back then, it wasn't as accessible as all. We didn't have like YouTube or any really solid ways to edit it, or camera phones or anything like that. They just had like these cameras that had like little tapes that you had to film, and it was a hassle, but it was something that I always liked to do. And I went to college for it, and it's kind of been a passion of mine. So.
David, did you have a question?
Do you enjoy making them?
Yes. I would say if you don't enjoy it, you're just like, why even do it? Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So, I figure, I don't know a person that, doesn't enjoy doing it and keeps doing it. You'd have to have a certain type of passion for it. So.
What kind of music videos, and I think this person might mean style of music, do you like to create?
Well, my main genre of music that I deal with is, hip hop. But, we work with all types of different genres, whether it be rock or whatnot. I'm usually open to all different types of, different styles of music and, looks and everything like that. Just because as a, music video director and somebody that, makes money off of doing this, you want to kind of diversify yourself into different genres. But, to answer that question short, I mostly, make hip hop music videos.
How much does it cost? And I think this question is referring to like you. What is your cost
In general?
a video?
Oh, I'm getting something here, connection unstable. Again, that kind of is dependent on how much the client wants to spend. That's kind of off the original question. Depending on the cost, depends on how much is going in the music video. So say if you have a big crew, you got to make sure everybody in that crew gets paid, as well as yourself. If you have to rent any equipment or, rent out any locations, you got to have money for that as well. And also if you have any actors or anything like that, or if you got to feed them, because you're shooting like 12 days at a time, people want to eat breakfast and lunch and all that. There's all types of various costs that go into a music video. So, that's really kind of dependent on how much the artist or client or their management, whoever does it, how much they're wanting to spend. So, again, that's like, can range from like a few $100s, or even, maybe next to nothing in some case if people are really passionate about it and don't want to get paid or anything, up to all the way to, several $1,000s, again, depending on the budget.
This was a common question. Have you ever worked with anyone famous?
I can understand. I've worked on a few projects with Strange Music, with Tech Nine, some people under that label. I did some music videos with Mac Lethal. He does like a lot of YouTube videos. I think he was on Ellen once. And then I'll do some stuff where I film like concert and events to where I've filmed some stuff for like Redman, Method Man, Kurt Cobain's. Like I was on stage with him and backstage getting footage with that. So in this type of line of work, you do kind of meet some people in the industry doing one thing or another. So
What drives you?
what drives me? Well, one thing that drives me is, this type of work. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I like doing. And this is something that I want to continue to do and be better and just create great stuff for people to watch. So, it's kind of like the phrase, if you love what you do for a living, you never have to work a day in your life. And, just trying not to work again.
Is this your whole job, or do you do anything else besides this?
When I first started off, yes, I did have a full-time. And matter of fact, I do have a full-time job now, to where it kind of supplements my income at home. Just because working with music videos and freelance, it is kind of hard to, when you're first starting off, to make a living off of it. So you kind of have to work up to that. And then in the type of production or freelance or video, they do have like slow seasons, like in the winter and things like that. So I always have like a side job to kind of supplement my income. But ideally, you would just be focused on just doing this full time if your financial situation allows you for it, which it very well can with work. So,
if I wanted to do this, how much would it cost me to get started?
That's the cool thing about being in 2017. It probably wouldn't cost you little to nothing to start off. I know I've been on some shoots to where we've literally have like $1,000 of equipment at our disposal. Matter of fact, like I got a bunch just sitting back here. But nowadays, usually have like a camera on your cell phone. You can definitely film something with that. If you have like a decent computer, or even some phones, you can edit videos just right on your phone. So if you wanted to really get started and it's something that you're interested in, nowadays you just have a lot of stuff at your disposal right now that you can use to get started. You just need the, maybe the drive and kind of imagination to, get it going.
How many music videos would you say you have made since you started?
Man, since I started, that might be a big number. I definitely would say I'm pushing around the 100 mark. Somewhere close to there. It'd be hard to think about, but yeah, I could definitely say it's somewhere around there, if not more. Yeah.
Who else has a question in here? Anybody? We are getting ready to do a project. We just started the 80s yesterday. We're doing kind of time travel, history of rock. And in the 80s, we know that MTV was a big hit. It was the biggest thing because people could watch their music too. And so that's the purpose for this, because they're going to create a music video.
Okay.
So Ms. Corey tells me that you've been working on an 80s project. Is that something you can tell us about?
Yes. Actually, that is the project that's taken us, we've been working on for like a month, about 2.5 days of actual shooting, a lot of prepping. And we wanted to base it in the 80s as much as we can to a certain feel to it. and just stuff like that. You just have to be aware of certain stuff in your shot that doesn't fit. So say if you wanted to set something back in the days, whether it's the 60s, 70s, 80s, or whatever, you just have to be mindful what's in your shot. You can't have like a new looking laptop in there or a new building or a newer looking car or whatnot. So that's a challenge that it's been exciting to tackle just to get that feel for it.
So that's something I probably wouldn't have thought of right off, but as you guys are making your video and you're finding pictures or film to put with a song, you have to think about what is current now probably wasn't around in the 80s. Just like you mentioned, you wouldn't have a laptop, you wouldn't have some things in the picture. Can you give them any tips on making a video? I think the plan generally is that they will select a song from the 80s and then create a video to go with that.
Oh, I can understand. I would say the biggest tip that I can give anybody into making any type of video is, teamwork makes the dream work. One thing that I do is basically I work together with a small team. We all take our talents that we like to do or that we're good at and just work together to make the best video that we possibly can. And then another tip I would definitely suggest for you is when I talked about pre-production, just prepare and think out what you're going to do before you do it because it will save you a lot of headache. It will go more smoothly and it will look better in the end. So whether you guys have to sit around and, brainstorm an idea of what you want to do, to figure out where you want to shoot it at, who you want in there, just, take the time to kind of, flesh that out and prepare for that. So when you actually do shoot it, it'll come out way better.
We'll probably use quite a bit of existing stills and short clips that we can find on the internet and download, but may take some live shots, depending on what the students want to do. And we're working with 3. So what I'm hearing you say is biggest component is to make a plan before you just jump in. Figure out what you want to do.
Definitely. Even if you're just taking a lot of stuff from the internet, you still kind of want to plan that out, like what to get, where to put it in during the song, things like that. So.
Can you tell us about your time at Ruby
Well, back in 2000, really like any other middle school, I suppose. I think one big thing that they did there was Channel 1. Do you guys still have that, Channel 1 News?
We don't, but we actually have a group that films like a weekly newscast.
Oh, really? Like in the school?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. See, we didn't even do anything like that when we were in high school. Back in our day, they had this like national news station called Channel 1 News to where like some kids from wherever filmed like a newscast and, they would get it by satellite and we would watch it during like homeroom hour or, whatever you guys call that nowadays. But, I wouldn't imagine, my experience in middle school hasn't changed too much from your guys' experience. I mean, I'm older, but not too old, so.
Anybody else have another question? You have a question you'd rather not say? You just want me to read it? We had some good questions in here. Not everybody has said their questions. See if we have any from these papers.
I have a question. You kind of mentioned equipment. I know you have a red camera, I think, that you guys use. Could you just kind of give like an average cost of, I know somebody asked about like startup, like especially your cameras, if you're using specialized equipment, how much does that usually cost if you're going to go out and buy it?
Man, that ranges. So like a red camera that we used on one of our bigger projects, we actually just hired a guy that owns it. We don't actually own it. But something like that, that's more of like a higher end camera. And I believe that whole package that we were shooting with was around like $25,000 just for that. So some of this equipment could cost more than like a car, or, even some houses at some point. But you don't need that expensive a type of equipment at all to get the to film videos. Some of the stuff that we use on hand that we use for like smaller music videos or just different promotional videos or commercials. The camera that we have on hand is like only like a few grand. We have different lenses and stuff that cost a bit of money. But yeah, just to really just start out, you definitely don't have to spend that much to start off at all. Like I said, some people have a lot of, just cameras on their phone they could start off with, or you can get a cheap camera for like a few $100s, if you have the money to get that too, and, do some work with that as well. And, yeah, equipment wise, like, the cost of it, sometimes it can get astronomical, but it justifies itself for the production. But that's something you definitely do not need to get started at all.
What is a red camera?
Basically, it's a brand of camera that is made for higher end filmmaking. A lot of people in Hollywood use it. Like I know they film like a lot of like the Marvel movies and things like that with a red camera. And it's just usually on the higher end. It just produces like a higher quality professional image. If you know how to, actually shoot, and if you're good at what you do, it's definitely a great tool to have. A lot of the people in Hollywood use it as well. So yeah, basically, if anybody says that, that's just a particular type of brand of camera.
Okay. What is it like to own your own business? Like advantages or disadvantages to being your own business owner?
I would say the advantage of owning your own business is you can be your own boss. You can decide how much you work, who you work with, when you work and things like that. So while that's great, you do take all the responsibilities and risks, and that's the downside of it. Being your own boss is great, but also, if something goes wrong, it's on you. If you don't work enough or put in enough work, your business isn't going to thrive. So you may work a lot more than the average like employee working for like a regular business. But that's just general entrepreneurship. Whatever business you would start up. So.
I know this was a question somewhere no one has asked yet. What do you do if you have a client that comes in who's really not a very good singer or performer?
Yeah, sometimes I ran into that. Basically, what you would do is, whenever you work with somebody like that, you just do the best you can on your end. There's been a few times to where I've put out some, music videos or whatever, where I had people tell me, "Oh, that music video was awesome" or whatever, and at the same time, they were like, "Well, I don't know about that song or the performer. That was kind of a little weak, or whatever." But yours was dope. I kind of get that a lot. I even got that compliment from, the Straight Outta Kaufman music video, because, that type of performance wasn't people's cup of tea, some of them, but they thought the music video looked great. So, yeah, sometimes it's just like that. So you just do the best you can regardless and kind of work around that.
Okay, I think we have a question over here.
What if you make a video and then people decide they don't like
Well, if you make it and they say they don't like it, there is a process that we do with clients to where we'll send them like a rough draft when it's done, and they'll let us know if they want any changes, like, "Oh, well, I look stupid in this shot. Can you take that out, or can you change this a little bit?" So with that, you usually have usually communicate with the client on what they want changed to make it to their liking. Very rarely, or even at all, if I had done something to where a client's like, "Oh, well, I flat out don't like this at all." Usually people work with you because they trust you to make a good vision and they like what you do. So if they didn't like what you do, they wouldn't come to you to do whatever they need. So.
Other questions?
Are we good?
I think so.
Okay, I think that's it. We just wanted to say, can everybody say thank you?
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
And we'll replay this for the 8th hour class. And if anybody has questions from that class, I'll just send you a message. And you can answer it later on. But we just want to say thank you sincerely. This is an awesome opportunity to hear from a professional who does this and makes money doing it. So thanks, Will.
That is awesome. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you guys. It was nice seeing you.
Bye, Buddha.